In this video, we'll show you how to change the rear brake calipers on your Ram 1500. You can find it on CarParts.com via the link in the description. For safety reasons, we strongly suggest watching our video on how to jack your Ram 1500 safely. It is necessary to release the electric parking brake in order to clear the grip on the disc. There is a manufacturer procedure for this vehicle. Turn the ignition on. Use the touchscreen to go to Settings. Enter Brakes. Go to Brake Service and confirm. Disconnect the electrical connector by lifting the tab with a flathead screwdriver. Then, using a fork, remove the wiring harness retaining clip. Using a ratchet and a Torx T30 socket, unscrew the two bolts holding the EPB actuator. Then remove it. Remove the used seal. You can use a flathead screwdriver. Then clean the impurities at the gasket with a paper towel. You can also use a wire brush to help you. Place a container to collect the fluid under the caliper, since the brake fluid may leak out. Using a ratchet and a 15mm socket, unscrew the Banjo screw connecting the hose to the caliper. Next, remove the hose. Then, using a flathead screwdriver, remove the old copper gasket from the Banjo bolt. You can also use pliers to help you. Then, remove the Banjo bolt from the hose. Here's a tip. You can limit brake fluid leakage during this operation by plugging both sides of the Banjo screw with Banjo shutter pliers. Block the rotation of the guide pins with a 24mm wrench. And unscrew the slide pins using a ratchet and a 12mm socket. Finish unscrewing by hand. You can now remove the caliper. Then remove the pad pressure springs. Remove the brake pads. For great content, our best price, and fast shipping, download the CarParts.com app now. Using a ratchet and a 21mm socket, unscrew the two holding bolts on the caliper mount. Finish unscrewing by hand. Depending on the state of the bolts on the caliper mount, it may be necessary to use a hammer to loosen them. Remove the caliper mount. You can order the brake caliper and caliper mount used in the video on CarParts.com via the link in the description. Take the caliper assembly. Then unscrew the Banjo bolt. Remove the slide pins. Remove the caliper. Take the new caliper mount. Reassemble the caliper mount by screwing first by hand. Then with a ratchet and a 21mm socket to lock them in place. Finish tightening using a torque wrench. Place the new anti-rattle clips on the caliper mount. Grab the pads and lightly coat the ends with copper grease to help them slide more easily. Insert the pads into the caliper mount by sliding them in. Put the pad pressure springs back in place. Now put the caliper back on the caliper mount. Screw in the caliper slide pins by hand at first. Screw them in using a ratchet and a 14mm socket. You can use a 24mm wrench to prevent the bolts from rotating. Finish tightening using a torque wrench. Get the new seals and the Banjo screw. Put a seal on the Banjo screw and install the assembly on the hose. Then put the second seal on the Banjo screw. Screw the Banjo screw that connects the brake hose to the caliper back in until it makes contact. Finish tightening the Banjo screw with a torque wrench. Using brake cleaner and paper towels, clean the contact surface between the brake caliper and the brake hose. Take the new seal. Apply silicone grease to facilitate the installation. Replace the EPB actuator in its slot. Then screw the retaining bolts back in. Finish the tightening of the bolts with a torque wrench. Clip the wiring harness back on. Plug the electrical connector back in. When replacing a brake caliper, you need to bleed the brake fluid system to remove air from the system. To do this, we suggest watching our video, How to Bleed the Brake Fluid System, Ram 1500. After bleeding, remember to clean the caliper disc assembly with brake cleaner to remove the brake fluid, which can be corrosive. It is now necessary to reactivate the electric parking brake. Press the brake pedal. Activate the park brake switch. Then you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put your truck back on the ground before properly fixing the wheels in place. Operation complete.